Well, let's talk about someone truly remarkable, Wu Zetian. I mean, think about it. In over 2,000 years of Chinese history, she was the first, the last, and the only woman to ever rule as emperor. Her story is this incredible mix of pure political genius, some seriously ruthless ambition, and a legacy that's so contested, we're still trying to figure it all out today.
But how should we remember her? Seriously, was she this vile creature who murdered her way to the top of the food chain? Or was she a brilliant reformer who brought about an age of real prosperity? That, right there, is the central question of her legacy.
And I really want you to let this sink in. To grasp the sheer scale of what she pulled off, think about this. We're talking about 2 millennia of imperial history. And in all that time, how many female emperors has China had? Just one. That's it. Wu Zetian.
So here's our plan. We're going to track her pretty unlikely rise, dig into the most infamous accusation against her, see how she ruled from the shadows, and then right from the throne itself. And finally, we'll try to figure out why history still just can't make up its mind about her.
Okay, so Wu Zetian lived from 625 to 705 AD. This is right in the heart of the Tang Dynasty, which many people consider China's golden age. But, and this is a big but, it's so important to remember that the stories from her life, a lot of them were written centuries later. They can be pretty mythical and are definitely wide open to interpretation.
So, how in the world did she pull it off? Well, it all started with an aristocratic upbringing that landed her at just 13 years old inside the emperor's palace as a concubine. But let's be clear, she was a long, long way from the top.
You see, the imperial harem wasn't just some casual thing. It was this highly structured 9-rank system. And Wu, she starts right here, at rank 5. So, not exactly the bottom of the barrel, but she was competing against women who were hardened veterans of palace intrigue. She had a long, and I mean dangerous, climb ahead of her.
And what a climb it was. Get this, while she was serving Emperor Taizong, she supposedly started up a relationship with his son, the crown prince. So, when the old emperor died, custom said that childless concubines like Wu had to be sent off to a Buddhist nunnery for life. That should have been it. Game over. But it wasn't. The crown prince, now the new Emperor Gaozong, brought her back.
All right, so she's back in the palace. But now Wu Zetian has 2 really powerful rivals, the childless Empress Wang and the emperor's current favorite, consort Zhou. What happens next would become the defining and most hotly disputed event of her entire life.
So Wu gives birth to a little girl, but tragically, the baby dies not long after. And this is where her story just splits into 2 completely different, totally irreconcilable paths. On one side, you have the accusation that Wu herself, unbelievably, murdered her own child just to frame the Empress Wang. But then there's the defense, that it was the jealous Empress who actually committed the murder herself. The truth? We'll probably never know for sure.
What we do know, though, is the outcome. This whole scandal completely destroyed Empress Wang. She was deposed, and Wu Zetian took her place. Just like that, she was the new empress. She had taken out her biggest rival and locked down her position.
But being empress, that was just the beginning. Pretty soon, her husband's failing health would give her the perfect opening to go from being a consort to the de facto ruler of all of China.
So around 660 AD, Emperor Gaozong suffered a series of strokes that left him really debilitated. To make Wu's now crucial role official, the court started calling the imperial couple Seng, which means the 2 sages. This basically gave her an official green light to rule, letting her issue commands from behind a screen while the emperor stayed on the throne as the figurehead.
And with all this new official power, what do you think happened to her old rivals, the former Empress Wang and consort Zhou? Well, the story goes that Wu took this absolutely horrific revenge, having their limbs cut off before they were drowned in vats of wine. Now, whether that's true or not, it totally cemented her reputation for being absolutely ruthless.
For the next 23 years, Wu ruled in her husband's name. But when he finally died in 683, she was ready. She was ready to take that final step and build a dynasty of her very own.
So, what kind of ruler was she really? Well, on the one hand, she was a brilliant and honestly surprisingly progressive reformer. She championed women's rights in ways that were just unheard of back then, giving them rights to property and even divorce. She broke the whole aristocratic grip on power by opening up the imperial exams to men of all classes, promoting scholars based on their merit, not their family name.
And for the regular folks, she boosted the economy with agricultural reforms and tax cuts.
But on the other hand, there's Wu the Tyrant. The stories say she ruled through this vast network of secret police, and that her cruelty went so far as to include her own family. I mean, she allegedly had her eldest son killed and deposed another one who just got in her way.
This all led to her final, absolutely unprecedented move. After her husband died, she at first ruled through her sons. But that wasn't enough for her. In 690 AD, she just swept her son aside, ended the entire Tang Dynasty, and declared her own, the Zhou. She took the title not of Empress, but of Emperor, the supreme ruler. And she would rule for 15 more years, until, at the age of 80, she was finally overthrown in a palace coup.
So, after all that, we're right back where we started. Tyrant or trailblazer? Why is it so incredibly hard to know for sure?
Well, here's the thing you absolutely have to remember. Who wrote her history? It was Confucian scholars. And in their worldview, a woman's place was, well, strictly in the home. Definitely not on the dragon throne. So you can see how they had every reason to paint her as a monster, right? It was basically a cautionary tale, designed to make sure no woman ever tried to follow in her footsteps.
You know, in the end, I think this quote from our source material really says it best. Her legacy completely depends on which historical account you choose to believe. The reformer who brought prosperity, or the tyrant who maybe even murdered her own children.
Ultimately, it seems Wu Zetian took a lot of her secrets right to the grave with her. Her tomb, it's actually been located, but just like China's very first emperor, it remains completely unexcavated. It's still sealed, and that leaves us with this one final, absolutely tantalizing question. If we could open it, what truths about China's one and only female emperor might we finally uncover?